So I wanted to do a video today to share a technique that I've been using that I find super useful. So it's got lots of different names in the spiritual community, and I think one of its most popular terms is the mirror technique. So I had been actually using this technique to a point off my own back. Like something kind of similar. So obviously there's a massive understanding of what we are within is without, and I've been kind of toying with this for a bit, but I've probably not been fully trusting because I'd do it and I'd be really successful on smaller things, and when something really pissed me off, then I'd be straight into the blame mode, and I'd be like, trying to think of like how I could sort it out in the real world and whether I should tolerate that behavior. I was really torn for quite a while between like boundaries and a kind of my own version of mirror work, I suppose. And it became so I kind of killed off that really strong emotional response, but then I'd go through this like mental process of like, what do I do in this situation? Is this the time when I need to have like stronger boundaries, or do I need to try and fix it? And I still don't have the full answer, because I think communication and expressing your needs and is important. But I do wish in my most recent situation I had, there is no regrets, but that I had gone in a bit heavier on the mirror work. So, like I said, I've been doing my own kind of version of it for a while. And then quite recently I came across other people doing it in a more kind of structured way. I think Jeff and Shalia, I don't really know how to pronounce that, do it. I think Teal has her own version of the completion process. There's other people that do mirror work, and I'm not promoting any of those people because I don't really have people that I watch regularly, or not many people. I just sort of stumble across videos as and when that I find resonate and are useful. So the idea with mirror work, and I perhaps do it like slightly different to these people, is that when you get really angry and triggered about something, rather than kind of dump it on the other person and be like, and this goes on so much in the twin flame community, like, oh, he's done this, he's an idiot, or an asshole, and we don't take responsibility, but we're so conditioned not to take responsibility. And I think this is where having any friends who are not spiritual, that know about your situation and are advising you, if you really want to go deep with spiritual work, it's just not helpful, because, hey, Lilith wants to come in, are not helpful. And they really keep you, because I feel like sometimes as well, there's things that I'm not even really angry about that happen to me. And then I almost feel like the way friends respond, or the way I think about it in society, makes me angry. I'm like, yeah, they should have done this, and this is bad, And I almost wasn't even angry about it or triggered by it, till I saw other people were triggered by it, or that society would deem it as so bad this person didn't do X, Y, Z. And I do think an important part of the journey is having your own boundaries, like your own things that are important to you, that matter to you, and not kind of taking on everybody else's stuff. And especially when those people are not spiritual as well, like their advice, I think you have to make a choice. I feel like there was like a time when I was really torn between two choices. I was like, do I go out there and I put all the boundaries down and I like speak up and I do all this stuff, or do I fully accept that my outer reality is simply a projection of my inner energy? Sorry for the break there, I just got a phone call. So yeah, I felt like I came to this place where I don't know, it was really recent. It was actually just a few weeks ago where I finally really decided to stop kind of listening to my 3D self, my 3D friends, and my 3D experience, and that I was going to really, really, really accept and try and not go backwards and forwards on taking ownership for everything that turns up in my experience. And like I said, I'd been kind of using my own version of the mirror technique. And I started watching, I was drawn to watch someone else doing it, and they had a much more kind of structured way of doing it. And it kind of got me back in. So I was definitely meant to see that. So the idea of the mirror technique is that anything that triggers you and makes you angry and frustrated, you change the pronouns in it. I mean, this was the part that I didn't do. This was what I found other people doing. So say, for example, I'm really upset and angry that my twin flame is running from me, and you say, I'm really upset that I'm running from myself. You change your pronouns to I'ms, and then you have to just really, really be freaking honest with yourself. And I have like slightly different ways, so it depends on the situation as to what I do. I know people take it, people have different methods too. I know one of the methods is to ask what you need, and to, like, you know, if it's a hug, then you kind of just give yourself a hug and you allow yourself to feel loved. Sometimes you can take it back to childhood and look at where that, you know, really get back to the core wound, take it back to childhood. What incident in your childhood makes you have that wound and that trigger and have that experience show up? And like I said, I've been kind of doing various ways around this technique for a while, that, you know, when I'm triggered, looking at where my childhood it came from. But there is something about doing it in this kind of structured fashion that I found to be so useful. And giving it a name is really useful too, because I feel like then when you're triggered, you're like, oh, mirror technique, you know, rather than like, where do I start? You know, what do I do? Do I use some boundaries here? Do I go back to my childhood? Do I try and get to the root of this? And I find it to be a really simple, concise way of working through stuff. So this has been really, really helping me lately. Sorry, my cat has been really annoying. Come on, Lils, stop eating that stuff. And so when you get really angry and triggered in a situation, it's really just accepting and acknowledging. What the mirror technique is to me is just accepting that I've created that situation. I'm the creator of my reality, right? I'm co-creating or creating my experience. And I think I've been in and out of believing that for a while. Like I've been like, yeah, I'm creating it, and then still acting as if I'm not. And I feel like that's a big shift that I've undertaken lately, is I'm just fully accepting that I'm just fully accepting that I am creating everything that I'm experiencing. And I think it's really easy to say that when good stuff's happening and you're like, yeah, I just manifested my house, like, and I created a move and I manifested this, and that's easy stuff to claim, right? But when someone's really annoying you, and the level of annoyance like also can vary, it's really, really hard to claim that as your own stuff. And it's something that I think is making me grow very, very fast, is really taking ownership of the things that really, really like trigger me and annoy me, and looking at how I do that to myself, and also how I've created it. Like there's been a few situations recently where they've panned out and I've been really like angry that they've happened. And then I've looked back and said, oh, but I was only speaking to my friends a few days ago and saying that I wish that would happen because I couldn't handle it anymore. Like, I wish that situation would break, or I'd always been keeping a bit of an open back door as well. Like, oh, this might not work out, so I need to have X, Y, Z options, and in case, you know. And I feel that I wasn't really honest about this. When it then showed up in my reality, I didn't want to claim it. I was just angry about it and upset about it. And I feel like this like there's a difference between going around and saying I'm the creator of my reality when all the good shit happens, and truly like understanding that you are creating your reality. And I feel that this has really been a massive turning point in my growth, is taking full ownership. And sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes it takes a little while to take that ownership. And to go deep with the feeling takes a while as well. But as soon as someone angers you or triggers you, you can actually get into kind of an exciting pattern with it, because you say, oh, here's a chance, you know, to work through a bit more stuff and to bring love to a bit more stuff that will take me closer to my union, you know. And you can almost look at it in a positive way like that. But so any time someone is upsetting you, you can do it. And that can even be like, they're ignoring me, they're not texting me back, they're running from me. They're just the most common ones I see, so it's why they come to my mind. They're even things like they're not committing. Like, where are you not committing to yourself? You know, where are you not like owning the commitment? Where are you keeping your own back door open in case that doesn't work out? Where are you, like, I tend to go deep. I tend to try and look at all the ways that I'm doing that in my life to other people, and all the ways that I'm doing it to myself. And then when you really get to the core of it, you can ask, what do you need to make yourself feel better about this? And you can just give it to yourself. You can imagine it, you can visualize it, you can give the energy, as long as you sort of like take the love to that part. And this is my problem I have with law of attraction, because I do believe in law of attraction. We're attracting every single day of our lives. We're attracting stuff. And but with law of attraction, I feel there's a heavy emphasis on only focusing on the positive, only focusing on what you want, only focusing on the positive. And I really feel a massively important part of this journey is focusing on the negative. Like, and else it never gets cleared. It's like it just gets pushed down because it's all in your subconscious, and a lot of it's from childhood. If you don't focus on the negative and you really don't bring light to it until it's no longer an issue and it's dissolved, it just constantly comes and keeps like biting you in the ass when you're manifesting stuff, and then it's like, oh hi, I'm still here, you know. The cat's being very naughty. I'm still here to like ruin your manifestation, because you haven't really gotten to the root of the situation. And some of the heavier patterns, they just show up again and again and again and again until you've really healed them. And Lilith, please leave that alone. I've got this light and it's got this little bit of stuff and my cat's adoring it. I don't want it to break it. Sorry about that. So yeah, I feel like I think it's why Teal calls it the completion process, because it really is understanding. It's the final understanding that everything is you. Like, we are creating every experience that we're having, and it's taking full ownership for that experience and for the life that we're living. And it's not taking ownership on it because I did this or I didn't do enough work, or it's taking ownership of it on an inner level, that everything you're creating, is it coming from love or is it coming from duality and contrast? And if it's coming from duality and contrast, it's just about owning, seeing that and accepting that and allowing that energy inside of you to change. And the subconscious stuff is difficult because it's subconscious, right? So it's not conscious. And in a way, all these triggering experiences, if we can start to switch our perspective on them and our perception on them, we can start to find them amazing, because without them, we would never know that like the duality and the contrast existed in us. It's the way that we can heal through these other people that are triggering us. And it generally comes from a judgment. When you judge somebody else, it's always that you're judging a part of yourself, and you don't want it. You don't want to see it. You just want to judge it. And by externalizing the judgment, it means that you don't have to judge it within, and you don't have to change anything, and you can just like blinkers on. And it's really difficult to own up to some of the stuff. Like, he's been texting another woman, he's not committing. These kind of things, like, you don't want to take ownership for, but there's always something deeper in your energy where you don't feel worthy. You know, it's all about self-love. Like, why do you not inwardly feel worthy to be the only person, you know? And I think we go about and we try to fix it externally, and we kind of lose the point at that point, because it's about fixing it internally, because that's what's creating your experience. And now I trust that implicitly. It's completely changed my interactions and my interacting experience in the world, because I honestly had a battle for so long, kind of flipping between different ways of doing things, and I feel like I've had enough evidence now to really trust in this, and that's been a big change for me. And yeah, I don't want to drag on forever with this video, but there's lots of other videos out there that also show you the technique, probably explain it in a better way than I do. The way I do it is, yeah, it's a bit different every time. Like, when I'm triggered, it's the same process. Like, I don't just look at where I do it to myself, I also look at where I do it to others as well, and where I do it in the situation, and that really helps me. And then I bring love to that area and ask it what it needs, but then I also try to look at where it stemmed from. I try to go back to early memories and, you know, where I was first triggered by this stuff, and heal those. And I'm finding the growth in the few weeks that I've been, like, literally I've been committing to this for like 2 weeks, you know. Like I said, I've been in and out of something similar for a while, but I've been really committed to this, less, like a week, let's say. And I feel such huge changes in my spiritual growth already. So I wanted to share that technique with anybody. Like I said, there's probably some other people that talk about it a little bit more succinctly than I do. And yeah, I will speak to everybody soon, and I hope you have a good day.